You wake up before sunrise. The air is cold. The ground is hard. A long day lies ahead. Yet nobody in your camp decides to go for a run. Nobody counts steps. Nobody performs a morning workout. Nobody lifts heavy stones simply to become stronger. And strangely enough, your ancestors were often far fitter than most people alive today. That contradiction reveals one of the most misunderstood facts about human history. Modern people often assume ancient humans exercised constantly. Images of prehistoric life usually show endless running, climbing, hunting, and fighting. It creates the impression that fitness itself was the goal. But your ancestors did not exercise. They moved. And those two ideas are not the same thing. For hundreds of thousands of years, survival depended on obtaining the greatest possible result while spending the least possible energy. Every calorie mattered. Before agriculture, before supermarkets, and before industrial food production, energy was a precious resource. The human body evolved inside that reality. Today, exercise is often separated from necessity. A person may drive to a gym, spend an hour moving heavy objects that go nowhere, run on a treadmill that never changes location, and then drive home again. To your ancestors, that behavior would have seemed bizarre. Movement had a purpose. Every step cost energy. Every calorie spent had to be replaced, and calories were never guaranteed. Anthropologist Richard Lee observed this principle among the Jew/Honzi of southern Africa. Daily activities were organized around practical goals such as gathering food, locating water, maintaining social relationships, and responding to environmental conditions. Movement was essential. Wasted movement was not. That pattern appears repeatedly throughout hunter-gatherer research. Anthropologist Robert Kelly has noted that mobile foraging societies often balance effort against reward. If a food source requires excessive energy compared with the calories it provides, it may not be worth pursuing. This principle appears so frequently that researchers sometimes describe hunter-gatherers as extraordinarily efficient energy managers. But here's the surprising part. The same body that evolved to avoid unnecessary effort is now surrounded by environments that remove movement entirely. For most of human history, walking was unavoidable. Imagine waking 50,000 years ago. There are no cars. There are no bicycles. There are no elevators. There are no grocery stores. Water must be carried. Food must be found. Fuel must be collected. Information must be gathered from the landscape itself. Movement is woven into every task. You might walk several kilometers simply to inspect a water source. You might climb hills to scan for animals. You might carry gathered plants back to camp. You might spend hours tracking signs left by migrating herds. None of this was exercise. It was life. The distinction matters because the human body appears to respond differently when movement is connected to meaningful goals. Scientists studying modern hunter-gatherer populations have repeatedly discovered something fascinating. Many groups maintain impressive levels of physical fitness without performing anything resembling modern workout routines. The Hadza of Tanzania provide one of the best-known examples. Researchers studying the Hadza have found lifestyles involving regular walking, climbing, digging, carrying, and gathering. Physical activity is distributed naturally throughout the day. Instead of one concentrated workout session, movement occurs in small and large amounts from sunrise until evening. The result is remarkable. Many indicators of metabolic health remain strong despite the absence of modern exercise culture. But the story becomes even more interesting. Your ancestors were not trying to become fit. Fitness was simply a byproduct of survival. Consider a hunter tracking an antelope. The goal is not cardiovascular improvement. The goal is food. A gatherer searching for edible plants is not attempting to increase daily step count. The goal is calories. A parent carrying a child across difficult terrain is not performing resistance training. The goal is protecting family. Purpose came first. Fitness came second. That relationship may explain why modern people often struggle to maintain exercise habits. The human brain evolved to value efficient energy use. For most of history, conserving energy increased survival chances. If two individuals obtained identical resources but one spent less energy doing so, the more efficient individual often held an advantage. From an evolutionary perspective, laziness is not necessarily a flaw. In certain environments, it can be a survival strategy. But here's where things become counterintuitive. Ancient humans were not inactive. They were selectively active. Imagine an Ice Age landscape. A hunting party notices signs of a mammoth herd. Suddenly, enormous effort becomes worthwhile. People travel long distances. They coordinate movement. They carry tools. They remain alert for hours. Energy is spent aggressively because the potential reward justifies the cost. Now imagine the same group after a successful hunt. The situation changes completely. Rest becomes valuable. Recovery becomes valuable. Conserving calories becomes valuable. Ancient life often alternated between intense activity and deliberate rest. This pattern appears across many traditional societies. Anthropologist James Suzman has described hunter-gatherers as highly skilled at balancing work, leisure, and energy expenditure. Contrary to popular assumptions, many hunter-gatherers do not spend every waking moment struggling for survival. Periods of effort are frequently followed by periods of recovery. That rhythm may feel surprisingly familiar. Modern fitness experts increasingly discuss concepts such as recovery, sustainable activity, and avoiding chronic overtraining. Your ancestors understood these principles long before exercise science existed, not through textbooks, through survival. Another clue comes from human anatomy itself. Your body contains features associated with endurance rather than constant maximum effort. Research by Daniel Lieberman and other evolutionary scientists has highlighted adaptations supporting long-distance walking and running. Humans possess spring-like tendons, efficient cooling systems through sweating, and skeletal structures suited for endurance movement. These adaptations suggest a body designed for regular activity spread across time, not non-stop exertion, not complete inactivity, a middle ground. The evidence tells a story of balance. But there is another misconception that deserves attention. Many people imagine prehistoric humans as permanently muscular. Reality was far more complicated. Body shape depended on age, environment, food availability, workload, climate, and countless other factors. There was no universal prehistoric physique. What existed instead was adaptation. Some individuals developed strength through carrying heavy loads. Others developed endurance through travel. Others specialized in tasks requiring skill rather than raw power. The human body adapted to specific demands, just as it still does today. Scientists studying energy expenditure have uncovered another surprising finding. Research involving traditional populations suggests total daily energy expenditure may not rise endlessly with additional activity. The body often compensates by adjusting energy use elsewhere. This idea challenges simple assumptions about movement and calorie burning. The human organism is constantly balancing competing priorities. Your ancestors lived inside that balancing act every day. Food acquisition required effort. Effort required energy. Energy required food. The cycle never stopped. And because the cycle never stopped, exercise as a separate activity rarely made sense. Why spend energy without immediate benefit when survival already demanded movement? That question reveals the true difference between ancient life and modern life. Today, many necessities have been removed. Water arrives through pipes. Food arrives through supply chains. Transportation replaces walking. Machines replace lifting. Technology replaces physical effort. These changes brought extraordinary advantages. They also created a new challenge. Humans still possess bodies shaped by environments requiring movement. When movement disappears, modern societies must intentionally recreate it. Exercise emerged as a solution. In a strange way, exercise represents a technological response to technology itself. People exercise because daily life no longer guarantees enough movement. Your ancestors never faced that problem. Movement happened automatically. A typical day solved the issue before it existed. But here's the biggest surprise of all. Ancient humans may have understood something modern culture often forgets. Movement works best when it serves a purpose. Children naturally run while playing. Adults enjoy sports connected to goals. People willingly walk long distances during travel, exploration, or social activities. Purpose transforms effort. Without purpose, movement often feels like punishment. With purpose, movement becomes meaningful. This principle appears repeatedly throughout human history. The body evolved to solve problems. Find food, reach water, protect family, explore territory, build shelter, carry resources. When movement serves a story larger than itself, motivation often follows naturally. That lesson extends far beyond fitness. It touches work, learning, creativity, and human behavior in general. The most sustainable actions are frequently connected to meaningful objectives. Your ancestors were not fitness enthusiasts. They were problem solvers. And in solving those problems, they became extraordinarily capable movers. The next time you see an image of a prehistoric hunter sprinting across a landscape, remember what was actually happening. That person was not exercising. That person was pursuing survival. The strength, endurance, and fitness came afterward. They were consequences, not goals. And perhaps that is the deepest lesson hidden inside human evolution. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans became healthy through living, not through exercise. Movement was inseparable from daily existence. Only recently did those two things become separated. You wake up before sunrise. The air is cold. A long day lies ahead. Nobody decides to exercise. Yet by the time the sun sets, your ancestors may have walked farther, climbed more terrain, carried more weight, and used more physical skill than many modern people experience in an entire week. Not because they were training, because they were alive.